Hello, English Journal readers. Welcome to our March 2015 edition of Ask Kimberly. Here's this month's question. There are some conflicts between women workers in my office because the ones who have kids are permitted to leave the office early, while those with no kids have to stay late and work extra hours. This isn't fair. What can I do? Ooh, that's a tough question. Fairness doesn't mean treating everybody the same. If I break my leg, I should be able to ride the elevator instead of taking the stairs. When it's tempting to demand fairness, think about how you'd like to be treated when you have special needs or a special situation. Let's consider a few different perspectives on working moms that might help. First, working moms work at home. Now, I know quite a few working moms in the US, in Japan, and around the world. Even if they're not officially allowed to work at home, many of them do. They get up early, they stay up late at night, and on the weekends they're catching up on email and writing proposals or other documentation. When they are in the office, these women don't waste time. They're not standing around chit-chatting with a coffee. They are at their desk getting their work done so they can dash off to take their kid to the dentist or the soccer game. Moms, they pay a price for the flexibility in their jobs. There are lots of examples of moms settling for part-time jobs with less potential and lower pay because they wanted greater flexibility to support their families. Now, I know you've heard of the famous cases of working moms like Yahoo's Marissa Mayer and Facebook's Sheryl Sandberg. Those are not typical working moms, okay? Sheryl Sandberg has 3 nannies and has $50 million. So the typical working mom doesn't have the luxury of the kind of things that these high-profile women have. So here's something that you need to know. Working moms get on something called a mommy track. That means in your career, as soon as you start having kids and being a working mom, you're destined to never make as much progress in your career as if you hadn't. You're not likely to become the CEO, for example. So their career progress slows down as a result. Now let's go back to you. Who's forcing you to work late? I mean, is your boss really requiring you to work long hours, or are you choosing to do so? Often employees complain about heavy workloads, and they're wondering, why do I have to work so late? But they never are explicitly asked to work these long hours. Oftentimes, they're staying late at night long after the boss has left the office. Frequently, they feel compelled to work these long hours because of their own high expectations of themselves. Interestingly, they usually don't feel responsible for their choice to work such long hours. They blame their boss or the company. Really, it's your choice. When I worked in HP, I fell into the same trap. Facing a mountain of tasks, I would stay every day until I finished everything on my list. One night, I was working late, and I looked around and there was no one else there, and I realized that my boss was never going to come to the office at midnight and beg me to go home. And it was my choice to work these hours. This inspired me to create this guideline for my life, kind of a mantra. I will only do 1 exceptional day's worth of work every 24 hours. I chanted this to myself. And then, some days, I just started to go home at a reasonable hour. That's my advice to you. Don't worry about the working moms. You do a great job and then go home. Over the years, I've discovered that I can never finish my work, but I can temporarily abandon it. It will wait for you. It will be there the next day. As long as you're producing great results, it's likely that your decision will be respected and accepted by your manager. Don't be surprised if some of your colleagues resent you because of your choice, because they still may be feeling like helpless victims who are forced to work long hours. Finally, here's a drastic option. Quit! Quitting your job is an option. I live in Silicon Valley. People quit their jobs all the time. Even in Japan, where mid-career transitions are less common, you can find another job. Work someplace that doesn't require you to give up your personal life or your paycheck. By the way, there are other life circumstances besides child rearing that require workplace flexibility. How about caring for aging parents? How about if you or a spouse gets very sick? Wouldn't you love to have your employer be flexible in those situations? If your employer is flexible and adaptable for other life situations that require it, maybe it's not a bad thing for the working moms to have flexibility. In fact, if you ever need this kind of flexibility in your life, you might really be grateful to work at a place with such unfair practices.